Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It is Ambrose Blowfield here again from the Sales Mastery Company. And today I want to talk about a tool we've recently shared, which is a step-by-step guide for you to be able to be more successful about creating the culture in your business or overall just in your team itself. Now, culture is something really, really close to my heart, not simply because I grew up in Geneva, Switzerland, where a lot of my friends had parents working at World Health Organization, the United Nations, a lot World Council of Churches, a lot of big international corporations and organizations. I love to travel. I love foreign cultures. I talk about team culture. What is it about your team that allows you and your team to succeed time and time again versus your opposition? What is it about the Australian cricket team that since 1999, when Steve Waugh took over as coach and captain, or captain/coach, if you like, he created a culture whereby the Australian cricket team wins more often than not. And certainly in the case of World Cups, whether they're T20 World Cups, whether they're test type championships, or likewise the traditional 50-over cricket, why is it that they succeed? And appreciating that obviously the All Blacks recently lost 2 out of 3 games to Ireland, or 3 out of the last 4 to Ireland, why is it that over 100 years, it doesn't matter? It might be stinging for the coach now, it might be stinging for the captain and the team members now, maybe even the people of New Zealand now. Again, hats off to the Irish for doing such a great job. But over 100 years, they've got a win ratio of 80%. And what is it that causes them to win by the tune of 80% of their games, bearing in mind they then draw 1 of the other games out of 10? They lose typically 1 in 10, draw 1 in 10, and win 8 out of 10 games. Why have they done that? What is it about their culture? Well, today's topic is all about setting up clear core values. If you can comment in the stream that you're watching right now, then you should get access to the tool that I'm going to walk you through using it today. I want to give you guys the empowerment around that. And if you want extra help with growing your team, growing your business, or otherwise, please reach out to us separately, or even book into a 15-minute scale-up call with one of our team members where we can determine where are you now, where are you wanting to get to, and what are the challenges you're facing in achieving those outcomes. So the document that I'm referencing today, I'm just going to add to the stream now. Please comment and ask for that document. Send us an email if you need to. Today is about creating core values for your business. Remembering that it is our culture that comes off our consistent behaviors and actions. Our culture is what we develop as a result of our behavior, and our core values is what dictates what is acceptable behavior that is aligned to our intended culture, or what is unacceptable behavior. The fact remains around this area is about what is acceptable and not acceptable. So I'm just going to kick into it. Got a bit of an intro into ourselves as the Sales Mastery Company, and also our fantastic new Sales Mastery Academy. That is for people who really need help with accountability as a collective sales team. And if they don't necessarily have the budget to work with us one-on-one, and that's normally businesses 15, 20 million turnover or above, often work with us one-on-one. For those in that sort of 2 to 20 million range who want to learn from others, want to grow, really want to grab hold of that, that's what our academy has been put in place with. And as someone said recently, one of the senior people on the academy in attendance said, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you join? So let's remember what our core values are. These are intended reasons or behaviors that we ourselves deem to be acceptable, that are aligned to the vision we've got for our team, that are aligned to our long-term success. And how do we apply them? Now, this sounds ruthless, but literally you should never recruit someone into your team who isn't fully aligned to core values, because the outcome will be one of 2 things. If somebody does not align to your core values, whether you inherited a team or you recruit them into your team, the fact is they will quit or you will push them, because eventually they will behave in a way that directly clashes with the principles on which you've established your brand, your promise, your value proposition, and what your business stands for, the thing you pride yourself on as a leader of your team or of your company. And whether you're watching this now as a sales manager, as a business owner, or simply as a member of a team, take responsibility for this. Be proud of what you stand for. Be proud of your core values. But remember, if someone is in direct conflict with your passion, with your values, they're going to leave by their own accord or by your volition. they will leave. So let's make sure that even if you inherit a team, we get to understand people's core values and principles so we can realize who's going to stay with their journey. It's okay if a member of your team leaves you in a year and a half or 2 years' time. The average person in most jobs in this day and age leave them within 3 years on average. Some industries less than 2. And certainly since the pandemic, I suspect many a lot shorter than that. So the fact remains is know the consequence of non-alignment, and it begins with recruitment or assessment of your team as it is right now. This is why we've given you this tool right now. It's something we work through with our Sales Manager Accelerator, which is a program for general managers and sales managers. And it's something we obviously touch into in our Sales Academy that I mentioned before. What we've got in front of you over the next few pages from this fantastic document, which means you could spend half an hour on this and get some clarity. Just use this tool. What you've got here is a really good shortened list from the 500 or more typical values a business team has. Now, the next question people have is, well, do I have to go off your list, Ambrose? The answer is no. Despite the fact that a sales mastery company and is a marketing company before that, we've coached people around the world. We've helped people one-on-one with business visions and values and things like that. And we've used this tool when we work with them face-to-face. We know there's over 500 different values. You can make them up for whatever you want them to be. You could say, we want to have a value around Pinocchio or the Mr. Man, or we want a value like the All Blacks. Whatever language you want, that's up to you. Your business, your team, your vision, your future. But not to have these, I'm sorry, it is lazy and negligent. I repeat, to not have clear core values, to not have an intention of what you want the culture to become, to not have a guidebook around what is acceptable and non-acceptable behavior is lazy or negligent. Think back to any school or even university for that matter, but certainly any school that achieves well in sport or work or music. What do they have underneath their school crest? They'll have some language there, probably in Latin, that talks about what they strive to do, and their culture probably comes from that. In our case, in the northwest of England, I went for 7 years to a boarding school up there because my parents were overseas in Switzerland, as I mentioned before. And for ours, it was mens agitat molem. The mind moves the mass. So it's all about academic excellence. Why? Because they knew that there was a ranking system. And if you get a lot of people to Oxford and Cambridge, therefore your business of the school does particularly well in the marketplace. So for you, it's about making sure you're not negligent and to go, we just had some, they've been around for 20 years, or they're slapped up in reception. Can we please, ladies and gentlemen, just get past that topic around the putting it up a reception behind a reception desk is big enough. I want to see them boldly painted on the walls of your factory or warehouse or distribution center. I want them to be almost branded on the back of people's necks, not literally, please. I want it when your salespeople go in the car, they go, that's what our brand represents. That's what our culture's all about. I want them to be in the boardroom. I want them to be in the smoko room. I want everybody to be able to see what your core values are and actually be able to articulate them and understand why they show up at work. So these are the very quick steps for you to put together core values to have an intended culture that's going to serve your vision for the company moving forward. Step number 1, to write down any values you've got in place, whether you adhere to them loosely or don't adhere to them at all, just get them onto this list because that's a great starting point. Then number 2, use this shortened list of 100 or so values we've just given you from a potential list of 500, and you're welcome. We've saved you the 400 reading through. We've spent time on that so you don't have to, just like all of our 300 or so training courses and coaching programs. Make sure that you actually make a note of what is a short list or a longer short list, if you like, from that particular list. So you go through individually and you tick the ones that you like. You might say, look, you can tick no more than 5 or 10 and tell each other, look, you have 10. Put them up on a whiteboard, discuss them, and then create a consensus. Guess what? It'll be the ones where you've picked similar to each other that actually are the ones to look at. And put together that list freely, ignoring step 1 where you thought about your existing ones. So write down those, get some overlaps or consensus around that, and slap them up on the wall next to the ones you've already got. And then have a discussion. This is all about involving the team. So have a discussion about that total list. Then that will hopefully start to move you towards a stage. Okay, so we've got a list of now 8 to 10. We've got 3 of the existing ones that we like. We've got 8 more of the new ones. That takes us to 11. Ambrose said 8 to 10. So maybe we'll shorten it down now. Let's get it down. Let's cross that 11th one off. Okay, well, now we've got 10. Okay, what do these mean? How would this first one apply to our finance and the admin team? How would our operational team apply this one? How would our sales and marketing team apply this one? And how would our directors apply that one? Discuss the potential meaning of those. That might be a one sentence or 2 or 3 bullet points around. Just talk about them. How do you feel about that? Digest it. I said you can rattle through this in half an hour if you know what you're doing. This might take half a day. It might be done at an end of year conference. Whatever you decide to do is your methodology. But think about, how would that fit with our vision? Are any of that list in conflict to each other? Because you're going to have problems if one says be ambitious and the other says slow down and be accurate, because those two are always going to rub each other off. I'm not saying you can't be ambitious and be accurate. I'm just saying those two might directly conflict. Talk about the definition. What would it mean like? And if you've got a couple on your list where they're so similar to one another, there's no point having both of them. Get it off. I find the honesty and transparency and integrity, words around that, they're kind of interchangeable. They often mean similar things. You often need one of those, not necessarily all of those if you're going to have any at all. And then you should start to get to a stage of, well, thinking about what they mean, can we shorten the list? If you can get it down to 3 values, believe me, it's easy to implement. If you get it down to 5, it's not hard to implement, but 5 is more challenging than 3. Now, I worked at Procter & Gamble. I remember it felt like hallowed grounds when you worked there. Even getting recruited by them felt like such a privilege and such a blessing. It was a real turning point in my life because they were the #1 consumer goods company on the planet when I joined them, second most respected company of all the Fortune 500 companies. That's not a bad position, 2 out of 500. And this is the top 500 of American companies back then. So 2 out of 500, I was happy with that. But it's their core values that structured what they're so good about. Obsessive around training and development. They spent $10,000 training and developing us before they offered us a sales job. But they only wanted 15 of us from 3,500 applicants, and they all had to be a graduate to join them. So the fact was, they really wanted the best of the best. But their core values, they stretched to 7. And that would be my limit. You better understand it. Now, when I was with Procter & Gamble, they were 150 years old. Believe me, they understood people and culture and excellence. It was just a fantastic place to be around. Like my daughter, when she had a couple of summer schools at the Royal Ballet School in London, in Richmond Park, in the White Lodge, which is a phenomenal building. It's what the Queen grew up in. When you walked in there, I'm not into ballet. Believe me, I'm definitely not into ballet with this body build. But the reality here is you walked around, it just felt elevated. It was a feeling of excellence. People talk about you train with the Aussie cricket team or netball team, or you train with the All Blacks. You just elevates you. The American track and field group, you get together, it just feels elevated. It's untangible, but you can feel it. That's why this stuff's so important, because you can feel it when it's right. So getting that shortlist should not be rushed if you're not confident in doing that. And then step 6, having decided that's our shortlist, play around with your definition. Have each team look at the definition. Have everybody debate the definition. Assume it's wrong and say, well, how are we going to make it right? And then have the conversation of what are we going to do if somebody's aligned to those core values? How are we going to live them and celebrate them and praise people for aligning to them? And what are we going to do with somebody who does not align to these core values? How do we tell someone off and hold them accountable? And that's a challenge if you've inherited a team. But we've got to have that conversation. There's no good slapping them on the world unless we're going to live by them. This is when it goes wavering. This is probably a battleground, I suspect, for numerous business coaches we worked alongside over many, many years. What do we do when the owner of the company is not aligned to the core values? Well, I'll tell you what, that's why you want an independent board or an independent directorship who can tell off the CEO, who is the main shareholder and director and chief executive. That's a challenging situation to find yourselves in, but either this is the accepted behavior or it isn't the accepted behavior. The implementation is such a challenge. Now, I wanted to give you a short, sharp overview around core values. If you've got follow-up questions, feel free to message us on the different platforms or flick us an email, as I said before. What is negligent is not to try. What is negligent is not to review. Now, we've reviewed our core values. We've been in business for over 18 years now. We've just gone past our 18th anniversary, and it's been an absolute privilege to serve over 15,000 businesses around the world. For us, every time we've reviewed the core values, we've introduced something new. But interestingly, the core value around giving has not changed. The core value around being passionate about the clients we serve, which are typically small to medium family businesses around the world, that has not changed. Other values have changed. But those two values, every time we review, every few years, we stop and review at the board level. we keep coming back to those too. We're passionate for what we do. We're passionate for helping that sales and marketing space. We're passionate for helping small to medium ethical businesses, and we're passionate about the way we do it. That hopefully shows in everything we do, whether it's something you read, a document we just shared with you, or with this live passion. And the giving is critical. If we can't have a positive effect on the world to help those who need help and don't know how to ask for help, then what are we doing? What is our life purpose otherwise? So please, reviewing this does not mean throw out all your good core values. Some may remain. For us, 18 years, every time we review, come back to those two. They never shift. They're still there. And I suspect the day I die, they'll still be there. I'll still be passionate and I'll still be giving. That's our core value as a family. Me and my wife, Jo Blowfield, aligned to that, and our kids are aligned to that as well. It's a core value in our business. So what are you aligned to? What are you going to focus on moving forward? If you do, however, have a sales team and you really want to elevate your sales team to the year ahead, not just around core values, but in so many other areas, such as scaling your inbound sales process, maximizing your growing of existing accounts, otherwise known as account management, knowing how to become more proactive than reactive, or learning how to close without discounting, then please flick us an email or book in directly on the link from the PDF. If you've got it in an electronic form, book in for a scale-up call. Let's have a 15-minute conversation. If we can help you, we'd love to help you. If we can't help you, we'll put you in the right direction to help you grow. All we want you to do is to take action. So hopefully today's covered off some really core areas around core values. Please take action from today, use the tool, and reach out to us if you want any additional help. I've been Ambrose Blowfield. We are the Sales Mastery Company. Take care and take action today.